Baseball, Chevrolet, and what's the other America's favorite pastime? Well, that would be apple pie. Sure.
Right.
Today we're getting about as down home as you can get.
All American.
You know, on this show, we've gotten a lot of feedback on the show. One of the things that people have commented, I think the most on, to me anyway, was, I can't believe the food you guys talk about, and that we're waiting for, how to eat broccoli 7 different ways,
Exactly.
And we're talking about stuff like hot dogs and apple pie. Today's recipe is my wife's apple pie, and we're going to dig into it in a moment, not only literally, but as far as, to talk about the whole part of the thing. But let's break it down a little bit
and first. I have to say, this is very easy apple pie. It really is, because I've never been good with crust. With pie crust, this is so easy. I love it.
It is, and it actually goes to cutting the apples yourself, and we'll get into all that in a minute, but let's go through some of the ingredients that are in there first. One thing we always want to do on this show is that when we talk about a recipe, we're explaining to people why this way is a healthier way than normal, and giving them the options of what you might be able to buy and what you should buy, okay? We start off over here with sugar. And we have cane sugar and crystal sugar. Mm-hmm. The difference between those two, real quickly, Shirley, is that cane sugar is actually evaporated from the cane plant itself. Okay. And that's the only processing that it goes to. It's evaporated and freeze-dried into a powdered form.
Now, this is actually made from sugar cane, too, but it's processed a lot more.
Processed, including some chemicals and some things that aren't desirable. Then we move over to the flours, okay? You have your bleached processed flours, which Dr. Smith on the last segment said, that's what he's talking about when he says processed grains and processed foods. Stay away from that. And then you have your unbleached flour, which is probably second best. And then you have your unbleached whole grain flour. The biggest difference there is that in the whole grain flour, you're going to have some fiber.
Right.
So anytime we give a recipe on the show, we want to make sure that we cover protein, healthy carbohydrates, healthy as fat as possible, keeping that fat down to a minimum, but also showing that we're getting some nutrients like vitamins and minerals and fiber.
I love it when we make something like pumpkin bread or cookies or whatever. You always put in some regular flour and some whole wheat flour, and maybe the people don't know why that is, because if you did all whole wheat, it would really make it heavier, it would change the taste. But you can do half and half, and it doesn't affect the recipe at all, and yet it makes it so much more healthy.
It's not a major change, which is what you're saying, but yet it allows you to do something that you wouldn't normally do. We want to be able to people understand, apple pie doesn't make the food bad. It's what's in the apple pie, right? So then we also have some organic apples in here. Now, like I said, we cut up our own apples to make this pie. We just have here, Shirley, a view of an organic apple and an apple that's not organic.
And by the way, this is a Braeburn apple, which happens to be my favorite. I don't know, really, I don't know how they work for the pie. Is that what Peggy uses for the pie?
She said, I asked her, and she said she uses organic baking apples.
Okay.
So
some apples do get softer than others, but just for eating, these Braeburns are wonderful. But look at the difference in the two apples.
The organic apple's not the prettiest thing in the world.
No, it's not.
Maybe that tree had some issues. Maybe that tree has got some. But it's natural. This apple, not that it's an unhealthy thing to eat, but the reason, we want our grocery stores to be beautiful. We want to walk in there and wow people with bulk and with shine and, and that whole kind of thing. And that's how we get these. But this has carnauba wax on it. And then most importantly, the tree eats the dirt. Right? The feeder system comes from the dirt. So if the dirt's unhealthy, tree's unhealthy, there's going to be stuff in that apple we don't want.
And insecticide, of course.
Insecticides, pesticides, the soil's depleted of nutrients.
Let's talk about the butter real quick.
Okay, here we have butter, organic butter. Here we have margarine. You had mentioned before the show, boy, margarine isn't as goldenrod yellow as it used to be.
It used to be really yellow, which was
And my comment back to you is, well, I don't know what they put back into it to take the yellow out, but I assure you it was put back in and not, because it's more healthy.
Well, less food. What they did, they got wise that real butter looks like this and margarine doesn't even look real. And then what is that over there?
This is spray butter.
Okay.
I don't think we have to elaborate too much on that. The word spray butter has to be a red flag for anybody that's been watching the show for any point of time.
Right. But
okay,
we
now
need to taste that.
It is time to do that. And one thing you'll probably notice is that, well, I actually did come out pretty clean, but, I was thinking it might even fall apart and everything because there's no, when you buy food, like a pie at those commercial pie places, the consistency of the pie is perfect. It's like
they're
gel.
Like gel. And they're like hard.
I mean, that just ain't right.
That's
just wrong. Yep. I don't know how much we can zoom in on this, but just the fact that we're eating apples here, and Shirley, after you taste that, and I can't do the talk thing with the food in my mouth. You're a pro. I'm just a health guy. But,
nothing slows me down from talking.
I'll let you eat.
This is really great, though.
Is that sweet enough for you?
Oh, yeah,
Can I
the
let you
apple
know a
was,
little
and that's
secret?
just apples, no sugar in there?
Very little sugar, half
Wow.
of what the recipe called for. The sweetness comes from the apples. You don't need added sugar.
Now, what about, can I add ice cream?
Absolutely. Just make it organic ice cream. Make it a small scoop. Now, it's all
right.
good. It's
we
all
gotta
good.
go. We gotta
All
go.
right.
Sorry. But for cooking directions on how to make this wonderful apple pie, check out www.tln.com. Click on shows and then Balanced Health. Or you can call 888-242-9393 for a copy of today's show. And up next, it keeps you smelling clean, but what's the cost? After the break, we're going to tell you how to buy deodorant, so don't go away.
Apple pies and deodorant only on Balanced Health.
That's right. Well, in today's healthy shopping, we're looking at deodorant and the ingredients that are listed in very teeny tiny print on the back of the label. Joe, we've seen this going around the internet. You know, the deodorant's horrible, causes cancer. Why is it unhealthy, and which ones are healthier?
The main reason why it's unhealthy is because a lot of it has metals. Shirley, I think unequivocally the evidence of metals and diseases, especially like Alzheimer's, are unequivocally tied together. We're not going to make deodorant the whole bad guy here, but you have the aluminum in a deodorant. And a previous show we talked about the aluminum in cookware.
That's right.
Okay,
That's
you
right.
have aluminum in your vaccination shots. Well, you start adding up all this aluminum, and you become like a piece of foil. Okay, so. And the way that this works is that this metal actually covers up the pores to stop them from perspiring. So really, we use the word deodorant. What we're really kind of talking about is antiperspirant.
Right. Deodorant is another. Deodorant's just kind of maybe perfume, but antiperspirant means you don't sweat.
Stops you from sweating. So let's first talk about what we're talking about here product-wise, and then we'll get into some possible advice and tips of how to apply this. Okay. Here we have a typical brand, Shirley, that contains aluminum in it. As a matter of fact, it contains, the main ingredient is aluminum zirconium.
Okay.
Okay. This is the type of thing where, yes, you'll put this on and you could go jogging and you'd probably be sweating everywhere but your armpits.
But your armpits,
okay?
right. And that's not healthy in itself, right?
That's not healthy. And of course, we go back to God's design. This area here, which we don't want to get a close-up on, I suppose,
No.
but this area here has a very distinct function. The armpit's a special place. You can even it's an accurate temperature through your armpit. So it tells us what a breathing kind of portal.
But it also has a very offensive odor, and so here in a civilized society like us, we don't like to smell that odor.
We don't want to smell, and we're not
so
going
we have to do something.
We're not going to advocate people to smell. And I will tell you this: the hardcore extremist alternative
Just
people
don't.
think smelling is good.
Oh,
Okay.
God. Okay.
So
well, this is balanced
This
health.
is balanced health, okay? Here is another, and we don't need to go over too many of these. Again, main ingredient is this aluminum zirconium.
Okay.
So I think we could tell our viewers, hey, that's the thing you're going to avoid.
Look
okay?
out for that.
And here's a product that's kind of in between. It has no aluminum in it, but it does have some propyls and stuff like that, which you do need for bulk. You need to hold it together with
And
that.
this, which happens to be the brand I use, is primarily natural sea salt. Now, I don't know how that prevents you from perspiring, but it works somehow.
The same way as if you take a salt pill, and it
Okay.
holds the moisture
Oh, okay.
in. So the sea salt, the theory would be that it holds the moisture in. Here's a brand called Tom's of Maine that I personally like. Let me just read some of the ingredients, okay? Organic aloe vera, leaf juice, witch hazel, water, chamomile, aqueous extracts. That's the water that they use to hold it together. And now this is aluminum free.
Okay.
So
does it work?
it works unless you're one of those people that really perspire easily. Okay. So here's what we recommend. If you have to use the stuff with the aluminum in it, what we're going to recommend is that you use it sparingly. Okay.
Yes.
In fact, let me just give a demonstration here. You want to use it sparingly, so try a swipe.
Yeah,
Just
don't slather it on all
try
over,
a quick
right?
little swipe. See if that works. If that works, then you don't need to go any further with
Right.
it. If not, if it's a day off, you're not at work, you don't really necessarily have to have it, that's a way to cut back. So
Right.
You're trying to give advice that says it doesn't have to be an extreme movement. For some people, washing with warm soap and water and a deodorant's all they need. Our advice is try it before you go to that.
And I actually know someone who they take a bath the night before, put their deodorant on then, and then have it on all night and all day. And I mean, that's just asking for trouble.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Well, I hope our viewers learned something today on deodorant, antiperspirant, the difference, and a couple of tips to make the difference. And it does, Shirley, a little bit less aluminum on a daily basis adds up over a period of years. Well, remember to log on to www.tln.com, click shows, and then click Balance Health for more information. You can also call 888-242-9393 for a copy of the show. Coming up next, stay tuned. Dr. Terry Smith is coming back to answer some more questions you sent in to balancedhealth@tln.com. We're going to be covering more alternative therapies with just a minute with Dr. Smith. Don't go away.